Welcome everyone to our third book sandwiched in for the fall season. And today our authors and reviewers are Martha Horton and Alan DeWolfe. They have co-authored the book, The Further Adventures of Alex and Nan. Martha Horton is a poet, a writer, and the former editor of the Chemung Valley Reporter. Alan DeWolfe is a writer of adventure novels, plays, and song lyrics. I'm going to mute us during their review to avoid any background noises. And please hold your questions till the end and type them in on chat. I'll read them at that time. We will be posting where you can purchase the book on chat. So without further delay, Martha, Alan, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for zooming into the Alex and Nan show. The first book in our series, The Unlikely Adventures of Alex and Nan, which we titled Unlikely because our characters and their crime-solving capers tend to bend reality a bit. But after all, it's fiction. Alex, a wealthy man about town and lifelong bachelor, resident of Corning, and Nan, once a budding network TV news personality, currently living in Elmira, didn't exactly like each other when they were thrown together in their first adventure. But they turned out to be a good team and have gone on to solve a number of unlikely cases together. Incidentally, Alex and Nan are in their 70s. We wanted to show that life still holds some great surprises, even when you're not young anymore.
Speak for yourself. Each of our books includes two of Detective Rayburn's cases. The action in the first adventure, in Volume 2, Perilous Pursuits, takes place in Elmira's Woodlawn Cemetery, the Elmira Correctional Facility, Arnott Art Museum, Tioga Downs, and other places which will be familiar to readers. Being able to recognize the locales is a feature of the books, which readers tell us they particularly enjoy. And as always, we hope to stir interest in our home area, the Southern Tier.
In this story, Tommy Barber, Alex's street informant and one of our recurring characters, has a tip for Alex that the suspected villains in this case plan to torch a casino. Alex and Nan go to the casino hoping to deter the disaster. They spot two malefactors, Frank the Fixer, a known underworld figure, and a Saudi Arabian bad boy named Hamid. Alex follows them into the basement of the casino where they are attempting to plant an incendiary device. Alex confronts them and is knocked unconscious in the struggle. The villains tie his arm to a pipe on the floor.
Let's get out of here, Frank ordered. By the time these guys wake up, we'll be gone and the place will be blazing. Frank and Hamid absconded quickly through the basement door and out into the darkening day. Back inside, the detective gained consciousness. He felt the pain in his wrists and saw his dilemma. Holy crap, Alex uttered. He was tied in a way that kept him close to the pipe and couldn't raise himself enough to get from his position. He noticed the nylon rope and remembered his cigar lighter. He hauled it out of his pants pocket with his free hand and struck the trigger. A white-hot butane flame from a suddenly convenient lighter soon proved strong enough to melt the rope that tethered him. It burned quickly. He pulled it hard and the rope separated. He quickly located the device. The incendiaries were on a timing, counting down with a red light, now reading 15 seconds. Panic gripped the suave detective, who seldom found himself in situations like this. Horrified, he grabbed the device, ran with dispatch out through the lower door. On a dead run, Alex mustered enough strength in his hurting right side to loft the apparatus high over the reflecting pond sprinklers. With only seconds left, the fire-making device arched toward the water, then blew shoots of flame in every direction, hitting the water with a steamy hiss. Noise, of course, was not the main purpose of the device, which was designed only to splay accelerants in any direction, but it created a fireworks display to amaze everyone in the area. Fire gushed out all around the pond harmlessly, ultimately extinguished by the waiting water.
Alan writes most of these action sequences, and it makes me wonder about his prior life. He's written a memoir, but he hasn't included any of that sort of thing.
Yes.
We introduce a new recurring character in this story, Danny Miller, Alex's grandniece. She adores her Uncle Alex and dreams of replacing Nan as his crime-fighting partner. She hopes Alex will someday marry glamorous Amy Houghton, CEO of Houghton Glass Corporation. The discerning Amy, who is decades younger than Alex, tells Danny that's not going to happen. She advises Danny to cultivate Nan rather than resenting her. Danny takes the advice and consequently winds up with a role in investigating the current case. She has occasion to take the wheel of one of Alex's classic cars and drives it at breakneck speed through the center of Corning and into Centennial Park. The police have taken note.
Young lady, I've half a mind to pull your driver's license, the sergeant scolded. This area is, let me start again. There was no need to endanger the lives of innocent people here.
Danny couldn't believe what he'd said. She brushed away the lecture. Don't you want to know what happened? Do you have any idea what kind of crook you just pulled out of the Chemung River? He shot at us, real bullets. He would have killed Uncle Alex if I hadn't attracted you guys to the scene. The sergeant kept his composure.
You could have just come to the station, he replied.
There wasn't time. Danny's exasperation was evident. Who knows how badly my uncle might have been hurt.
Don't you have a cell phone?
I lost it. I ran out of batteries. Again, there wasn't time. That crook.
Oh, yeah. The officer held up his hand to halt her litany. Okay, your uncle already filled us in. Let's just say you overreacted, lost your head. You're going to be cited for tearing up city property, and you can tell your story to the judge.
Oh, sometimes you men. Danny wasn't finished. You never gave Uncle Alex a ticket for all the times he speeded through town.
That's different. He's paid his dues.
What does that mean? Danny returned.
That's enough, young lady. Procedures have to be followed. You're getting on my nerves. You're getting on my nerves.
Somebody should.
Okay.
Danny wouldn't let up.
Maybe it's time to lock you up, the cop said. Go home before you make it worse.
Danny drew herself up to her full height, which wasn't much, lifted her chin and stormed out of the station.
The battle-weary cop grinned after her. He turned to the amused desk officer and said, looks like we've got another Rayburn on our hands.
The second adventure in book 2, Golden Retrievals, delves into some of our area's Civil War history. Nan has an apartment in Elmira's near West Side historic neighborhood in a big antebellum house, which just happens to be where I live, 722 West Water Street. Another recurring character is introduced in this story.
Simon, get off the sink, the detective ordered. My wonderful feline freeloader. At the moment, there was no desperate case demanding Alex Rayburn's detecting skills, so Simon had carte blanche with his time. The orange tabby bunted, rubbed, and clawed at Alex to ensure proper attention from the guy who had taken him from the street life some months ago. Alex and his purring companion had spent the night in the loft over his small office in the air downtown on Market Street. Being 5 stories up, the office had a commanding view of a town that had always been home to both of them. From the north windows, students could be seen milling around the high school across the river, and the view from the south windows showed the Rayburn mansion standing boldly just a short jaunt up the hill. Alex's house on the hill was a bit off the beaten track for a proper office, so he and the cat often caught some Z's above the Market Street noises. Simon was happy to sleep on the sill of any window, north or south, and bother Alex whenever he pleased. He was, after all, a cat.
Nan is not particularly fond of Simon. She's a dog person. But as the story develops, she comes to appreciate some of Simon's fierce feline capabilities. After I read Alan's description of the Rayburn mansion in Corning, I wanted to throw a big party there. So I arranged to have some evil deeds committed at the mansion during a gala Rayburn family reunion. And there we meet yet another ongoing character, Alex's valet butler property manager, Wendell Meeks. Alex had enlisted Nan to help with party arrangements, and now she visits the mansion for the first time. Nan parked in the circular drive that led to the wraparound porch. Feeling much like Dorothy at the gates of the Emerald City, she climbed the steps and let the heavy door knocker announce her presence. She had expected Alex to come and welcome her, but of course, here it would be done in a more formal way. In a moment, a smallish and unprepossessing man moved the colossal door forward.
Miss Holloway?
Yes.
Please come in. Mr. Rayburn is expecting you.
Nan slid out of her silk-lined denim jacket. Thank you.
Please follow me to the library and have a chair. You may call me Wendell. I will announce you.
Nan did as instructed, eagerly drinking in the sumptuous interior. It was warm, elegant, tasteful, and true to the period of the architecture. Traditional, but with a flair. And a bit heavy on the family memorabilia. But why not? It was quite a family. As Meeks led her through the foyer, 2 stories high with a double staircase and broad hallway before them, Nan tried to engage him in a companionable discourse. Mr. Meeks, I'm hoping you can give me some guidance for the holiday party Alex is planning. For example, the decorations.
We have a standing order for fresh balsam wreaths for all the downstairs windows. Mr. Alex likes the scent.
Lovely, she enthused. And the tree
has been ordered, as well as it's a 50-foot Douglas fir. As is our tradition, it should arrive on the 18th. Miss Holloway, I should tell you that the Rayburns are very traditional. The house has a number of crystal candelabra, which are placed around the parlors and dining room. When lighted, they make a beautiful display, but anything more might look a little overdone.
Uh-oh, so much for her creative innovations. I understand completely, Mr. Meeks, and I appreciate your telling me, Nan replied sincerely.
This time, I know. This time he gave her the beginnings of a real smile. Remember, just call me Wendell.
No.
Wendell is a guy with unexpected talents and resources. In some cases, Alex would be lost without him. At the conclusion of this story, he helps Alex chase down the culprit in his own Bell aircraft helicopter. During the 2021 COVID season, Martha and I managed to draw up another adventure for our dynamic duo. This will be the first story in the 3rd book, which will be entitled More Dubious Adventures of Alex and Nan. Much of the action takes place around Keuka Lake and Alex's rambling old summer home, Rayburn on the Lake.
Early in the story, Alex and Nan are invited to ride on the inaugural journey of an excursion train between Buffalo and Corning. Alex is snoozing in his comfortable seat while Nan is admiring the scenery from the connecting platform. Standing in thought, she observed the rail ties passing under the steel platform and held the railing to steady herself. On the 1940s era train, the noisy rails snapped past her in musical sequence, accented by occasional hisses of brake tempering mechanicals. What an experience. Nothing could spoil it except for a derailment. No, that wasn't going to happen. That would be for some other damned adventure where their lives were in danger. Not today. Through the door window, she saw Alex stir and notice her. She smiled, gave him a tiny wave as a man came up behind her.
Alex saw Nan go suddenly sideways and tussle with someone. He sprang to his feet and ran the few steps to the door, quickly sliding it open. "What's going on here?" he demanded. "None of your business. Go back to your seat." "Who do you think you're talking to?" Alex roared.
Recording in progress.
What's that?
Okay. The man released Nan. He spun around and pulled out a gun. As he removed it from his pocket, his wallet and some papers flew out onto the platform.
Nan let out a wail. "Look out, Alex."
Alex moved deftly to grip the man's gun hand. Nan let out another scream, catching the attention of the conductor. The trainman opened the club car door and tried to control the fight. "See here, stop it, you two." "Look out, this guy's got a gun," Alex yelled. A shot hit the air. A wayward bullet wounded the conductor in the leg. Alex saw the gunman's desperation. "Damn you, Rayburn," the interloper snarled. As they struggled, Alex managed to ask him, "How do you know me?" "You're getting off the train now, Rayburn," the man growled. Alex later regretted his next move. "No, you are." Under the wheels, the wooden ties suddenly ended. The steel mesh bridge surface came up under them and indicated that they were passing over water on a very high bridge. Alex twisted around and kicked the stranger hard in the stomach. The man reeled backwards into the handrail and seesawed over it. Alex shouted, "Grab him!" "Too late," the conductor said, as he clenched his wooden leg. The accoster let out, "That's wounded leg, excuse me."
You wrote this.
You typed it. The accoster let out a terrified sound and fell out of sight, past the bridge cowling and into thin air. Alex seized the rail lest he follow the man into space. Alex identified himself to the trainman and said, "I'm sorry, sir. As you can see, I had no choice." He spun around and held Nan strongly. The conductor responded, "Thanks for helping out. I'm not sure I could have handled him myself. What did he have against you or your lady?" "Well, I am a detective. Sometimes these things just happen."
Are you sure you weren't a detective once? Where do you come up with all these things? Kicking one in the stomach and throwing them over the rails.
I watch TV.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
In this story, Nan gets to spend a couple of days in New York City with Alex's cousin, Taylor, a real dynamo of a woman who knows her way around Manhattan. She takes Nan to an elegant private reception at the Frick Museum. There they have a surprise encounter with a gentleman who was a guest at Rayburn on the Lake back in the 1960s and nearly drowned in a sailing race there.
I remember that.
You remember it, okay. The home of the Frick Museum is the Beaux-Arts mansion of the enormously wealthy art collector Albert Frick and occupies a full block of Fifth Avenue. Paintings, sculptures, and other fine artworks and furnishings are displayed in intimate residential settings, as well as in small galleries. The event for favored patrons and top administrators occupied the Oval Room and adjoining garden court. Not surprisingly, many people at the party were acquainted with Taylor Rayburn and clustered around to chatter up and meet her attractive guest. "We're not doing too badly for a couple of old broads," Taylor observed. Nan was thrilled when a few old timers recognized her from her network TV days in the city. She was reliving a well-remembered overseas assignment with a former colleague when an attractive coffee-skinned man with graying hair approached.
"Is it really you, Tay?" he said. "Taylor Rayburn, after all these years?"
Taylor turned toward him and her face went white for a moment. She quickly recovered and responded to his broad, engaging smile with a typically exuberant greeting. "My God, it's Ravi Kumar. What the hell are you doing here?"
"Is that the way you greet an old friend? You're still beautiful, Taylor."
She held out her hand. Ravi gripped it firmly with both of his. They beamed at each other. Nan stood by, open-mouthed. Wait till I tell Alex, she thought. Tyler recovered her decorum. Remember my cousin Alex, who played guitar and was a rotten sailor? This is Nan Holloway, his fiancée.
After all these years, Alex getting married.
Yeah, Taylor said. Can you believe it?
Robbie gave a slight bow. I'm delighted to meet you, Nan. You certainly must be someone special.
Nan was uncustomarily speechless, but Taylor plowed on. Alex is a famous detective now in Corning. Nan is a writer and helps on his cases.
I'm fascinated. How did you conquer that guy? Robbie said.
Clever manipulation, she responded.
Her quick wit made Robbie explode with laughter. Finally, Alex has met his match. I wish you both the best of everything.
Now, Taylor said, grabbing each of them by the arm and herding them into a quiet corner. What are you doing here, Robbie? Tell us everything. That was a bit of a spoiler. Readers sometimes ask us whether Alex and Nan are ever going to get married. And actually, Alex pops the question in the second story in book 2. But the road to the altar is going to be a bumpy one, and they may not make it. If Alan has anything to do with it.
It could be lumpy.
Okay. Okay. Before we deal with any questions, I'd like to tell you about a little mystery of my own. I was kind of playing around on the computer looking for a name for the character Ravi Kumar. And I settled on it and, just began on Microsoft to type some of the manuscript. And a few days later, lo and behold, I got a friend request on Facebook from Ravi Kumar. And I thought, my goodness, how did this, fictitious character get my name and what does he want? And I told a few of my more digitally experienced friends about it. They said, oh, don't answer it. Don't answer it. It's a scam. People do this, da, 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 da. And I thought about it for a few days, but I couldn't resist. So I accepted Ravi Kumar's friend request. And when I got onto the page, I learned Ravi Kumar was from Oregon City, Oregon, and living in Kabul, Afghanistan. And I thought, wow, how strange. And then a few days later, Ravi posted his picture. And here he is. This absolutely adorable little boy is Ravi Kumar from Kabul, Afghanistan. For a few days after the American forces cleared out of the capital, he had nothing online, but I'm happy to say he's back now and posting his usual crazy Arab and Indian rock group stuff. But you can tell me how he got my name and made a friend request. I'll be very amazed if anyone can answer that.
We should send him a book.
We should send him a book.
He might like to be in a book.
That's true.
Yeah,
Robbie, though, could be a villain in the book.
Oh, no.
All righty. I guess we are ready to take any questions you might have. If we also have prepared some answers to questions we usually get. So
thank you, Martha and Alan, for another exciting adventure mystery story. And we're going to let people write in their questions on chat. And just to say to everyone, remember, you can see where to get the further adventures of Alex and Nan on chat. So any questions, please write them or record or type them in. Okay. Okay, so the Further Adventures of Alex and Nan is available at the Christmas House in Elmira and Brown's Cigar Store in Corning, or contact Alan DeWolfe at 936-1318 or Martha Horton at mhscribe@aol.com. The book can also be purchased from Amazon.
Good old Amazon.
Good old Amazon.
Okay. And our first comment is, Alan has a great reading voice. Has he ever read a book online?
No, no, I haven't, but I always wanted to do it, but I haven't done it.
He likes being the narrator in the plays he writes, right?
Yeah,
And he does have a nice speaking voice.
I stumble a lot, though.
Well, this is a new experience.
Yeah.
And our
It's
next,
in person, but online it's a little intimidating.
the next entry is not a question, just a comment. Both authors made this an interesting book review. They are a great duo.
Oh,
Give me a kiss.
now we're stuck continuing
Yes,
with
we
it.
Don't you have something written down?
Well, people often ask us about the characters and if they are real people. And
yes.
if no one did this time, we'll just mention a couple of them. Alan started out with Amy Houghton, and I didn't catch on right away.
Mm-hmm. Well, do I dare say Horton?
You can.
Horton is the name of the premier family in Corning, and they're from England, and over in England that is pronounced Houghton. So I just spelled it a little differently.
And Amy, of course, who is a beautiful blonde woman, is a reincarnation of Amo Horton, who was Alan's Sunday school teacher.
Yeah, Amo taught me Sunday school.
The other Corning Inc. personage with a similar name is Wendell Meeks. And when I saw that Alan created Wendell Meeks, I nearly fell off my chair. My son worked in finance at Corning Inc. for a while, and Wendell Weeks was his superior. So, but we made Wendell a hero. That's
yeah, oh yeah, he's a hero.
There's some other comments following that both authors made this an interesting book review. They're a great duo. The next comment is you should record an audiobook version of your books together. And the following comment is, yes, I totally agree.
Really?
How lovely.
We'll do it tomorrow.
My daughter has not read our books.
What?
Oh, you didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
She listens only to audiobooks in her busy life. Back and forth in the car a lot, or even working around the house, she'll play them audio. She seldom sits down to read a print book, which I think is a horror show. I can't get into audiobooks, but you're right, Barb. We should.
I like them.
You do?
Yeah, I like them.
Okay.
Sure.
Well, then maybe we should do it.
You have to leave things off like she replied.
Well, Alan wants us to write.
Rewrite it.
Alan wants us to write a play next and have it be, then it would be mostly all dialogue, and we could do that.
Okay.
Anyway. Well, Alan resembles Alex in so many ways. He has driven a lot of classic cars and loves them, and is a cigar smoker who enjoys patronizing Brown's cigar store, which is a real place. Mm-hmm. We get Brown's and Smith's mixed up.
Oh yeah, well, Brown's is run by the Smith family.
Yeah, and when we started out, we weren't calling things by their real names because we were chickens. So instead of Brown's run by the Smith family, we had the Smiths running
by the family.
Whatever.
By the Brown family, right? Kind of thought we should do that, but yeah. Anyhow, they're such good friends. They put our books on their counter, so it can be you can get one locally here.
Yeah, if you don't want to patronize Amazon. They're not listening.
We're not listening. Okay. Well, we're going to keep going on this, aren't we?
Keep writing.
More books.
We were sitting on the balcony yesterday, and Alan thought up of a lovely way to murder people. So, not throwing them over the balcony, I trust.
Well, no, not your balcony.
Okay.
Well, I think we have had all the comments. I don't see any additional comments. But just as a reminder for people, the further adventures of Alex and Nan are available at the Christmas House in Elmira and Brown Cigar Store in Corning, or contact Alan DeWolfe at 936-1318, or Martha Horton at mhscribe@aol.com. The book can also be purchased from amazon.com.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Appreciate it. Bye-bye, everyone.
Very much. Very interesting.
Been wonderful.
Okay, Barb. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.